Tonight on NAIT NewsWatch.
Edmonton continues to be a hot destination for highly wanted events.
Congratulations, Edmonton, on winning what was an incredibly competitive international bid.
The tanning bed industry speaks out over an Alberta Health Services website.
Mostly for the cosmetic reason. I find it relaxing.
And university students get a much-needed fall break.
Our own mental health centers have some of the highest visits in November. We said this is a problem that we need addressed.
NewsWatch starts now.
Good evening. Edmonton is known as the City of Champions, and with the bid for the Commonwealth Games announced this week, this could showcase Edmonton even more on an international stage.
However, the Games aren't the only event that's giving the city a growing sporting reputation. Mary Charbonneau is live from our news center with more on this story.
Yes, Edmonton is also the newly appointed track town, as we'll be hosting the 2015 track and field national championships. And the city is also welcoming more and more sporting events, including the FIFA Women's World Cup and, as of Tuesday, the Red Bull Crashed Ice Tournament.
Congratulations, Edmonton, on winning what was an incredibly competitive international bid and the opportunity to host this magnificent event.
Edmonton will be the first Western Canadian city to host the Crashed Ice Championship. Crashed Ice is an ice cross downhill race where skaters start at the top of a hill and race down a long, sometimes winding course. They can reach speeds as fast as 75 kilometers per hour. This event follows a long line of sporting events that the city will hold next year.
I think that's awesome. Edmonton has great experience and a great legacy for sporting events, including the Commonwealth Games.
It's like what the Olympics did for Vancouver, and great. It would promote the city, and we have a great city.
Edmonton last hosted the Commonwealth Games in 1978, and its legacy lives on today in several sports venues. Should Edmonton win the bid over South Africa, costs to host could reach $1 billion. This man volunteered as a medic in '78 and feels the city needs to weigh cost, risk, and reward.
That could be cool, but you really got to look at the budget and see if it's worthwhile. People smarter than me need to figure that out.
In general, public response has been positive, but with any investment, the business side is something to be concerned with. James Cummings, CEO and president of the Edmonton Chamber of Commerce, says that all of these events have a positive effect on local business, and he believes the city is ready for the challenge.
When you draw a bunch of people into the city, you certainly create lots of opportunities for local businesses, particularly those small businesses and restaurants and bars and those sort of things. They really enjoy having that type of event come in and further develop out their business.
The 2022 Commonwealth Games will be awarded in September of 2015, and if Edmonton wins, the province and the city will split the cost.
Mary, will these big-ticket events be expensive?
Some events will be expensive, like the FIFA Women's World Cup, but the Red Bull Ice Crash Tournament will be free.
Thanks, Mary. That's Mary Charbonneau reporting live from our news center tonight.
NAIT NewsWatch, the next generation of news.
The tanning industry is defending itself against an Alberta Health Services website.
Tanning salon owners and clients feel the facts around the dangers are being misrepresented. Christine Medalliar has more on this story.
The campaign is called thebigburn.ca and targets all artificial tanning. But those who make this their livelihood feel like they're the ones getting burned. According to the Joint Canadian Tanning Association, knowing your skin type is an essential part of artificial tanning.
Based on skin type, we do not allow a skin type 1 person in a professional salon to expose themselves to a tanning equipment. So that's where that risk goes down to a minimal risk.
Other precautions tanning facilities take, as listed on tanresponsibly.ca, are making sure that their staff is trained and industry certified and are the only ones operating equipment. Clients must wear protective eyewear and if underage, have parental consent. Salons must also keep a complete client record. Christine Benedette tans on a regular basis once a week and follows the guidelines set by the JCTA for safety. She knows of the health dangers and feels it is her risk to take.
Mostly for the cosmetic reason. I find it relaxing too, so.
Public health officials here want their own rules and are concerned that sunscreen is the only safe way to absorb ultraviolet light.
Every health organization around the world has consistently stated exposure to UV radiation, UV light is a carcinogen.
While it is proven that a base tan only gives you an SPF of 4, the JCTA argues that it is better than nothing.
A base tan will also doesn't wash off, so you don't have to reapply every 90 minutes. And the biggest problem that you have to realize is when using a sunscreen, most people don't apply a sunscreen correctly.
They also recommend that even if you have a base tan, you should be using sunscreen because tanning does not fully protect your skin by itself. Legislation was passed in Ontario that those under the age of 19 cannot go tanning, while here in Alberta, it is 16 with parental consent.
Thanks, Krishleen. That's Krishleen reporting from Spruce Grove.
A massive earthquake shook South America Tuesday night, and then again on Wednesday. It was the second largest Chile has ever experienced and has caused lasting effects. The owner of Los Andes, a local restaurant in Edmonton, have family in Chile. They were fortunate enough to be in a safe area when the earthquake happened, but that hasn't stopped them from consistently watching the news after an 8.2 on the Richter scale and a 7.6 shortly later.
When the houses are down, people are buying food, long lines to get the bread, the water.
Marta lived through Chile's earthquake in 2010. The architecture has since been updated and is said to be able to withstand large tremors, but not everyone lives in those new buildings. Although her family is safe, she still reaches out to those in Chile.
And our roots are over there. Doesn't matter how peaceful we live here, roots are over there, which are important.
The government of Alberta has announced the budget for this year's wildfire protection. Budget 2014 allocates $31 million in the 2014-2015 year and $115 million altogether over the next 3 years. More than 1/3 of the money will be spent on fire-smart programs. Todd Nash, General Manager of Forest Resource Improvement Association of Alberta, explains just what the programs will include.
Examples of activities that are funded under the program include fuel hazard reduction, construction of fire breaks, emergency planning, and public education.
Funding will also go towards new equipment, hiring more firefighters, and to prevent serious fire outbreaks.
Edmonton is one of the first in Canada to be able to assess the heart in a quick and painless way. The non-invasive cardiac system, or NICUS, is a new technology at the Royal Alexandra Hospital. In 90 seconds, cardiologists get what they need to make a diagnosis. Before, a catheter would need to be inserted through the neck or groin to get the same numbers in about an hour. The cost between the old and new technology is also quite staggering.
The cost is very attractive. The cost of the disposables is $12 a day, whereas this Swan-Gan catheter is $180 just to get started, plus all the staff time to get those measurements.
The system reads the patient's volume of blood with each heartbeat and peripheral resistance.
The University of Alberta has launched a new fall break they call Green and Gold Week. Students' Union and Administration gathered at the Meyer Horowitz Theatre after 4 years of hard work to announce the launch of a fall reading week.
Our own mental health centers have some of the highest visits in November. We said this is a problem that we need to address. Now, we don't see the fall reading as a silver bullet. We do see it as a huge step forward in addressing some of these larger issues about student success on campus.
Green and Gold Week will take place during the week of Remembrance Day every fall, effective 2015.
High school students got the opportunity to train like an RCMP officer this week. The music matches the name. Troop Vader got the opportunity to spend a week at the 3rd RCMP Youth Academy. Here at their graduation, they demonstrated discipline by marching and following orders called out by a drill sergeant, who also spotted an opportunity to have some fun.
3 minutes to take photograph. That is 3 minutes, not 2, 5, 4.
They get to meet with officers from different sections. They get to talk to these officers, so it's a great experience for those students and a really unique experience.
Marching around the gym wasn't all the students got to do. Visit stalbert.ca/RCMP to find out more about this live-in experience.
The Alberta Aviation Museum opened up a new temporary display on April 1st.
1, 2, 3, go.
It's the Royal Canadian Air Force's 90th anniversary. The display, although only temporary, will be accompanied by 4 long-term exhibits on Canada's Air Force history. Executive Director Tom Hendricks went on to tell us what driving force the RCAF had on Edmonton's economy.
Edmonton's aviation history is one of the most significant in Canada. This airport was the focal point for many decades, so it was natural that that would become a major airbase.
The museum is encouraging all Edmontonians to learn and celebrate this vital part of our history.
April means final exams for many university students. Late night studying can leave you feeling robotic, but that had a whole new meaning for the U of A. A biathlon of machines was held at the university on Monday afternoon. The contest consisted of teams of 4 or 5, building a robot able to shoot ping pong balls into specific targets. This exam tests how well the students can work in a group and incorporate everyone's ideas. Having the practical experience is very beneficial in this program.
It's way better to learn by actually getting an opportunity to get in the shop and design from the ground up yourselves.
On top of the contest, students will have to write a final exam to complete the course.
Coming up after the break, a new way for LGBTQ students to feel safe on campus.
NAIT is introducing a new program that provides support for students.
It's just that we're prepared if students in our daily interactions with them, just want a safe environment.
I'm Connor Chan. Coming up in sports, the Edmonton Oil Kings are in round 2 of the WHL playoffs. The Edmonton Rush look to continue their dominance in the National Lacrosse League. Do I have what it takes to do some gymnastics? I guess we'll find out. All that and more coming up in sports.
Hi, I'm Bridget saying, after a rather chilly start here in the week, we can finally say spring has finally sprung. The snow is starting to melt and we're actually seeing some grass now. The warmer weather will be kicking around for a bit longer as well. I'll have all the details about your Sunday weather forecast coming up next.
Well, Drew, with all the crazy weather we were hit with in March, I'm really hoping it's going to start warming up.
I agree. It's so hard knowing what coat to wear each day. Bridget, are we finally going to see some consistent weather?
Well, we are certainly going to be warming up in the coming weeks. Let's start off with our neighbors down south in Calgary now. They're going to start off their day at -2 and warm up to +8. A mix of sun and cloud there, but no chance of precipitation at all. And up to the mountains in Jasper now, a low of -6 to start the day and warm up to 0 degrees. A slight chance of flurries, some flurries there as well, a mix of sun and cloud. And over to Fort McMurray now, they're going to start off their day at -6 degrees and warm up to +1. A higher chance of some flurries there and mostly cloudy skies. Over to the capital region in Edmonton now, we're going to start off our day at -2 degrees and warm up to +6. A mix of sun and cloud there and no chance of precipitation. Let's take a look at our averages for this time of year. We're just in the range. We hit a low of -2 and +9. And our records for this time of year, we hit a low of -23 in 1948 and a high of +21 in 1905. Quite the opposite of what we have now. That's your NewsWatch forecast. I'm Bridget Sang.
Weather sponsored by NR92, the station for the students.
Colleges are adding to the student services in order to avoid isolating or marginalized feelings.
NAIT's latest effort is called Safe Spaces, and it's designed to promote a safe haven for anyone regardless of their sexual orientation. Our Dakota Barber reports.
LGBTQ is an acronym that many are becoming more familiar with. It stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer. Seth is a new student this year and is impressed with his experiences thus far.
I feel like people kind of recognize that and you can kind of tell when you meet me, I guess. It's not like it's a surprise or anything like that. People are fairly accepting and they don't treat you differently. I had one.
Seth's experiences have been positive, but not all students feel the same. Safe Spaces was born in the winter of 2014. a workshop that gives staff the knowledge and ability to help students struggling with their sexuality to cope.
They don't have other people that they can identify with, and it can be coming out again and again and again on a regular basis. And so that can be really taxing, and especially when you're in a new environment, you don't know who's open to that and who you can really have that conversation with. So
the expectation isn't to have a lineup of eager students waiting to talk, but more so to let it be known that many NAIT staff are there to help if need be.
It's just that we're prepared if students in our daily interactions with them, just want a safe environment.
Seth appreciates the program's mission for students struggling or in their coming out phase, but as for him, it's all business.
Just standard, you're not waving a flag in their face, you're just here to do your work and learn and things like that.
NAIT's faculty is committed to making this school a safe and comfortable environment for students. Join NAIT in room W201 in the HP Center to join the conversation on what NAIT can continue to do to support the LGBTQ community here on campus. Dakota Barber, NAIT NewsWatch.
Connor Chan joins us for sports. Connor, the Oil Kings have started round 2 of the playoffs already.
And a NAIT athlete was good enough to break some records.
Yeah, he was, but we're going to start things off with the Edmonton Oil Kings. Well, there's at least one hockey team to cheer about this year. Well, actually, the past 3 years. After sweeping the Prince Albert Raiders in the first round of the WHL playoffs, the Oil Kings now face their royal rival, the Brandon Wheat Kings. Brandon coming off a sweep against the second-seeded Regina Pats, so the Oil Kings could have their hands full in this series. That's not going to be the case here in the first period. Just a minute 50 in, Edgars Colas is going to feed Brett Pollock, who gets his 4th goal of the year to make it 1-0. Then just 35 seconds after that, point shot is stopped, but Mattis Eller gets the rebound to make it 2-0. Now here, Wheat Kings fans are going to get a little angry here because Eric Roy's wraparound appears to be stopped, but the Wheat Kings are arguing that that puck crossed the line, so they do go upstairs to find out if it did. And if you look at the Jumbotron, it did not. That was a close call. Jari does keep it a 2-0 game. Second period, already 3-0 Oil Kings. Kulas is going to be at it again from a bad angle. He gets his second of the playoffs to make it 4-0. Third period now, Oil Kings on the power play. Henrik Samuelsson goes upstairs on Jordan Paperny. He makes it 5-0. That's all they're going to need to take game 1. Oil Kings outshot Brandon 45-15 in this game. Tristan Jarry getting his first career playoff shutout with 15 saves. Here's Griffin Reinhardt on his team's effort.
We got up to the start we wanted, and we kind of sat back there in the first, a bit after those first 2 goals, and we wanted to learn to keep our foot on the gas. And we've seen it last time we played Brandon. And Brandon, we got up a couple goals, and they came right back. So you're never out of it for them.
The Edmonton Rush look to continue their streaking season tonight when they take on Colorado. Fun fact, Colorado spoiled the Rush's chance of a home playoff date last year. Although the Rush secured their home playoff spot already for the first time in team history, there is still more that lies ahead. If the Rush do win tonight, they can clinch first overall in the NLL, as well as home turf advantage for the entire playoffs, as well as the West Division. But if they lose, they'll still get the West, but that's only if Calgary and Rochester lose this weekend. Rookie Riley Lowen knows that this team is going to have a tough weekend.
We know they're going to come out pretty hard, so yeah, it'd be nice to get that win and then clinch home playoff advantage.
The Rush wrap up their season April 25th in Vancouver. It's not easy being a goalie, especially if you're trying to replicate what Shannon Zabados did here last year and bring a championship. Zabados might have some gold medals and an ACAC ring, but Birch has some other things that he can brag about. Kyle Birch was named the 2013-2014 ACAC Male Player of the Year. The first-year Ook finished the year 18-0 with a .970 save percentage, and his .6 goals against average and 10 shutouts were good enough to be new league records. Although he has stellar numbers throughout the year, Birch never took those into consideration.
By the end of it, we're near the end of the season, and I had those numbers. I never even really thought about it. It just kind of continued. And to look back on it now, it's kind of crazy because, I mean, those might never be broken, and that's something I'll always have, so that's really cool.
Birch wasn't done there. In fact, Thursday night when NAIT had their annual athletic banquet, he took home Male Athlete of the Year. Good on you, Birch. When you watch gymnastics, you're just in awe with how athletic they are, with the years of hard work and dedication, and then you watch someone like me who had only one day to try and be like them. Well, nonetheless, I still gave it a try for this week's End Zone Challenge. Doing flips has scared me for quite some time, but this is gymnastics. You can't really run from it here. And right away, we learned how to do a front flip.
A front flip is a forward roll that happens in the air.
Go ahead, Toby.
That's it.
What he explained kind of made sense, but I still had to be shown how it was done.
So a very basic first part is you start with your hands a little bit forward because your hands direct you, okay? And you bend your legs and you start to fall, you start to lean, and at the last second you push to your back.
Here's how a national gymnast does it, and here's how a sportscaster does it. But third time's the charm.
Yeah!
After that, we moved on to the rings. At first glance, it might look easy, but keep in mind that kid is 7 years old and has way more experience than I do. So you could say I needed some assistance.
Start pushing. There you go.
There it is.
Good.
Finally, it was time to learn the backflip. Doing a backflip is basically the same as a front flip, but you're jumping backwards. With the coaching of Brian and learning how to improve it through video, it was now time to take my leap of faith.
Big jump. Definitely your best.
So in the end, I conquered my fear and lost some feeling in my legs. Boy, I tell you, I really needed some confidence to do that, but I'm glad I did.
Well, I was seriously impressed with that backflip. You've never seen me try one, but it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was.
Thanks, Connor. Coming up after the break, Tamara and I learn how we can help save lives.
We learned about the importance of CPR.
The first aider on several instances, and I can say that without a doubt it definitely helps to save lives.
I'm Daniel Stillwell. Coming up in entertainment, we're going to take a look at the Edmonton International Beer Fest. I'm taking you on a date to the opera, and then we're going to take a look at a video game that is absolutely ridiculous. All that and more coming up after the break.
NAIT NewsWatch Outerwear sponsored by Pinnacle Sportswear and Michener Allen Auctioneering.
Haircut and color provided by Ivory Noir, Edmonton's first color correction salon.
This week, we couldn't think of a better way to serve our community than making sure we could serve those in it.
We visited St. John's Ambulance to learn some of the basics in first aid.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 10.
CPR was the first thing on our trainer's list. The compressions are surprisingly exhausting, but no one said saving a life was easy.
Wrap it around, and then we wrap our hands around that. Okay, when we give 5 upwards thrusts. Okay.
Of course, hopefully if someone is choking, you won't have to use CPR. Chris has a helpful rhyme: until the object pops or until you drop.
I've also been the first aider on several instances, and I can say that without a doubt it definitely helps to save lives.
For more information on how you can help save a life, visit sjatraining.ca.
If you're picky about trying a new brew, a festival is in town to help change that.
Daniel Stillwell takes a look at the Edmonton International Beer Festival and more in entertainment.
Hey, if you're looking for something to tap into this weekend, Edmonton's International Beer Fest is on at the Shaw Conference Centre. 20,000 people are expected to pack the halls at the Shaw for the opportunity to sample and enjoy beers from all over the world. But one of the main focuses this year can be found right in our own backyard. Edmonton International Beer Festival producer Sean Farmer says they put a little more work into one particular area.
Well, we're really trying to drive home the whole craft beer movement that's happening right now. So we got a lot of craft beer this year. We've actually set aside a whole area inside that's just designated to craft beer.
They have beer making lessons, classes on the history of beer, and some chefs are coming in to show how to pair food with it. With activities like these, Sean says you need to make sure you have the right support in place.
We have to make sure that we're expanding accordingly. So we're making the venue bigger, making sure there's enough beer to supply everyone. We're bringing on more staff to make sure that everyone's managed properly.
International Beer Festival ends tonight, so if you want to check it out, you can head to internationalbeerfest.com. Now, a big show is opening this weekend at Edmonton's Jubilee Auditorium, Madame Butterfly. Madame Butterfly is the opera version of a story written near the turn of the 20th century. It follows a Japanese geisha who marries an American naval officer stationed in Nagasaki. The officer believes the marriage only to be temporary, and his ship is eventually ordered home. While the geisha eagerly awaits the officer's return, she gives birth to his son. that's where the story takes a bit of a turn. Maestro Robert Tweeton of Edmonton Opera's production of Madame Butterfly says it's challenging work to bring a show like this to the stage.
There's always things that are different once you actually get into the theater and are doing dress rehearsals, and people have their costumes for the first times. They're walking on these Japanese sandals that makes it harder to walk and get somewhere in the same amount of time as without them. So but that's part of the challenge with doing opera, is what makes it fun to me, is that it's never going to be the same 2 nights in a row.
With gorgeous costumes and elaborate sets, opera is not cheap, especially when you only run 3 shows.
Because our budget's 3.5 to 4 million, so when you divide it all out, it's each production can easily be between 1 and 1.5 million, depending on how we approach it.
Madame Butterfly opens tonight at 8 o'clock and has 2 other shows on Tuesday and Thursday. You can buy tickets for the opera at edmontonopera.com. When you think of a simulation video game, some types come to mind right away, like Flight, Theme Park, Zoo. There's even one where you can run a prison. Well, there's a new game on the market, and it's a little bit different. It's called Goat Simulator, and like the title suggests, you control a horned, garbage-eating animal. In Goat Simulator, you can do anything a normal goat would do. Graze, run, jump, headbutt, climb stairs, climb ladders, climb more ladders, jump on trampolines, fly jetpacks. Okay, maybe not your typical goat things, but it's fun. Did I mention you can break things? Yeah, there's an achievement for that. One feature in the game that you might not expect is the ability to lick things. And your tongue forms this unnatural bond with whatever you lick, granting you the ability to drag it around with you. Or something can drag you around. That's a hang glider. Now, there's more to the game than just wreaking havoc. No, there's not. You're a goat. Get as many points as possible by Michael Baying as much stuff as you can. Now, don't expect to spend hours and hours and hours on it, but it's a lot of fun. You can buy the game from Coffee Stain Studios for $10 at goat-simulator.com. That's all I have for you this evening in entertainment. Have a fun rest of your weekend. Now back to you guys.
So what do you think, Tamara? Are you going to try out that game?
I'm not sure if a Goat Simulator is the game for me, but as Dad mentioned, every time you hit something, it says you Michael Bayed it, which I thought was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I just can't see myself sitting at home and playing as a goat.
You know what? I've always been a Mario kind of girl. But anyways, thank you very much for joining us tonight on NAIT NewsWatch. If you want to say something about the show, tweet us at NAIT NewsWatch. Have a good night.
Good night.